Hi, this is Wayne Atkins. I want to talk to you a little bit about biblical inerrancy and apologetics. My background is that I'm an atheist now. I was once a fundamentalist Christian. Attended Bible college for a couple of years as a pastoral theology major, preparing for the ministry. While I was in Bible college, I began to notice a lot of discrepancies, inconsistencies, outright contradictions in the Bible. And of course, I looked for answers to those, turned to apologetics, consulted with people at the Bible college, professors and mentors who I looked up to and respected, looked to them for answers. And I found that there are a lot of stock answers out there, some of which make sense if taken by themselves, some which strain credibility, and then there are others that are just outright foolish. But I wanted to give you an example of one of the errors that I found in the Bible and what one of the stock answers is, and see how that measures up and how it convolutes the problem. There are a lot of theists out there who from time to time will find things like this in the Bible, and they'll ask people about it, or they'll study on their own and read some apologist who says, here's the answer. And it doesn't have to be right. It only has to be good enough to remove that doubt for the moment, and then it's forgotten. And they say, yeah, I saw that too, but here's the answer. Or if you're an atheist and you raise this objection, they don't have to give you a correct response. They only feel the need to give you some response, whether it's correct or not. So let me go ahead and get to this. I'm going to use some of my notes here. This one is addressing an issue where in the Gospels there's three parallel accounts of Jesus sending out His disciples. In Matthew 10:9-10, Jesus is preparing the disciples to go out to the lost sheep of Israel. He's given instructions on what to take or not to take. There are parallel accounts of this story in Mark and Luke. In Matthew, he's recorded as saying, quote, "Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat." End quote. Now clearly in this passage, they're not to take these things, one of which is a stave or staff. In Luke chapter 9 verse 3, he says, "Take nothing for your journey, neither staves, nor scrip, nor bread, nor money, neither have two coats apiece." End quote. Again, in this passage, he states that these are things that they are not to take, and the staff, it is included among them. In Mark chapter 6 verses 8-9, we find the same command with one very obvious difference. Quote, "And commanded them that they should take nothing for the journey, save a staff only. No scrip, no bread, no money in their purse, but to be shod with sandals, and not put on two coats." End quote. Now it is clear in this account in Mark that the staff is an exception to the list, and that they are commanded to take a staff only. Two accounts say that they are commanded not to take staffs, and one account says the opposite is true. Since we know that two opposite statements cannot both be true, there's an obvious error here. Charles Ryrie addressed this problem in his book, What You Should Know About Inerrancy. Quote, "If one believes that every word of the text is inspired, then he would surely notice that in Mark and Luke the verb is the same, and means that they should take the staves they already possess." Now, I'll just interject here. When he's talking about the verb, he's talking about in the original language, doing a study of the verbs used in the original language. Matthew uses a different verb, which means that the disciples were not to procure staffs. Putting the accounts together, the Lord permitted them to take along the staffs they already owned, but prohibited procuring new or additional ones. Notice that errancy feeds on itself. If all the words cannot be trusted, then one may tend not to do careful exegesis, and therefore either ignore or refuse to accept a perfectly proper grammatical explanation like this one. End quote. Wow. That would be a perfectly proper grammatical explanation had he done a more careful exegesis himself, either by design or just an oversight in his careful exegesis. He cited the wrong book as agreeing with Luke. His study of the verbs used in this account actually confirms the error rather than dispels it. In his explanation, he says that Mark and Luke use the same verb and that it means that they should take the staves they already possess. He points out that the verb in Matthew is different. Well, he's absolutely right in saying that the verbs used in Mark and Luke are the same. But he confused which two accounts agree and which one disagrees. It is Luke's and Matthew's account that say that they were not to take the staffs. Mark is the dissenter. So with the fact pointed out that the verbs match, and the fact pointed out that the commands do not, it's easy to see that this is in fact an error. It seems that Mr. Ryrie did not do a careful enough exegesis, and therefore either ignored or refused to accept a perfectly proper example of an error in the Bible. Now, Mr. Ryrie is a respected apologist in Christian circles, especially fundamentalist circles. He believes that every word of the Bible is inspired and true, literally true, and that there are no contradictions in the Bible. So when confronted with this direct contradiction, he offers this explanation. I don't know whether Mr. Ryrie knew in advance that his explanation was wrong, that he was confused about which two accounts agree. I don't know if it was a deliberate deception or, like I said, just not a careful enough exegesis on his part. But his study of the verbs shows that this is in fact an error. Now, if you're a Christian and you stumble across this and somebody refers you to this apologist and he offers this explanation, it's very convincing because he goes on and on about the verbs and whether the verbs are the same or not. One means to procure and one means to take or to keep. It's a convincing explanation if you don't catch the fact that he switched them around, that he was mistaken about which two agree and which one dissents. If you're an atheist and you raise this objection and someone points this out to you, you might think that they've given you a correct answer. So you got to be careful about what you're reading and about what you accept as fact. There are a lot of apologists out there who do this kind of thing, and I can't believe that none of it is deliberate. There's just so much of it going on. So I'm gonna address some of these issues again in following videos. Bring up biblical contradictions. Talk about how apologists explain them, if there are given explanations out there, and whether those explanations hold water or not. If you're interested in reading some more of this right away, I've got a link in the comments or the description section to my website. I wrote a manuscript a few years after I got out of Bible college to answer all those why questions that people had. And there's a section on biblical contradictions with quite a few of these in it, and it addresses some of the apologist explanations as well.